Our planet is getting more and more crowded with each passing day. The world's population is expected to grow to almost 10 billion by 2050. More people means more mouths to feed, more land being used for agricultural practices, and more pesticides being used to increase yield. The extensive use of pesticides is polluting groundwater sources, disrupting natural ecosystems, and causing long-term damage to human health. If that wasn't bad enough, clearing of forested land for food production is reducing the biodiversity of the natural world, along with climate change and soil erosion. The United Nations Sustainable Development Goal number 2 states, "End hunger, achieve food security, and improve nutrition and promote sustainable agriculture." This is a collective responsibility that all governments need to work towards to ensure no one goes hungry.
We are facing a huge challenge of an increase on an nourishment of 118 million people. We have 3 billion people that don't have access to healthy diets. We have significant increase in stunting and overweight and obesity. If we don't change the way we are operating in the agri-food systems, we won't be able to achieve the SDGs and the goals of the 2030.
Did you know that half of the world's habitable land is used for agriculture? Modern agriculture, food production, and distribution are major contributors to greenhouse gases. Agriculture is directly responsible for 14% of total greenhouse gas emissions, emitting more greenhouse gases than all vehicles combined. Farming is the thirstiest user of our fresh water supplies and a major polluter. Modern agriculture and food production has many complex challenges. In the developing world, an alarming number of people are starving and continue to face food insecurities.
There is bound to be a shortfall because when we had independence, that was 35 crore population. Now we have a population of 140 crores, which is about 4 times the original population. The land hasn't increased. In fact, the land has been urbanized and more buildings have come up. The land that for agriculture has been reduced. So we must keep on increasing the productivity to be able to feed everybody. That's what is required.
Roughly 1/3 of the food produced in the world for human consumption every year, approximately 1.3 billion tons, gets lost or wasted. According to the Food and Agricultural Organization of the United Nations, in India, an estimated 40% of the food produced is wasted.
Globally, including India, hunger theoretically shouldn't be a problem because the world is producing enough food to feed approximately 2,000 calories to each and every individual in the world. It's just that the distribution of the food and accessibility to the food is uneven throughout the world, including India.
The Food Waste Index Report 2021 estimates that 50 kilograms of food is thrown away per person per year in India. And the wasted food often ends up in landfills, leading to dire environmental implications. Reducing food losses and waste is essential in a world where the number of people affected by hunger has been slowly on the rise.
In our Department of Food Engineering and Technology, Central Institute of Technology, Kokrajhar, we are trying to give the sustainable way to reduce the food wastage. We have developed different edible films and coating formulations using biopolymer-based edible coatings incorporated with plant-based natural antimicrobial and antioxidant that have the potential to extend the shelf life of fruits and vegetables by up to 3 weeks.
When we look at the real reasons behind hunger, always conflict, climate extremes, and economic downturns and slowdowns are the major reasons behind the increase in the hunger and the nourishment that we are facing today. Not only that, we also see that all these drivers are exacerbated because of COVID-19. And what also we see today is that access to healthy diets is a huge challenge.
In conflict-ridden Ethiopia, millions of people require humanitarian food assistance. 83% of Tigrayans are food insecure, and almost 40% suffer an extreme lack of food.
The conflict continues to drive hunger more and more. We have a few million people in Tigray in a very dire situation, hundreds of thousands of very malnourished kids in Afar. In Amhara, the situation is not getting better. In total, well over 9 million people that have no access to food at the moment.
The world also faces an exponential increase in hunger that is fueled by climate change.
The climate crisis is a risk multiplier for conflicts. This happens in two ways. On the one hand, we have scarcity of climate-sensitive natural resources, like water or fertile soil. On the other hand, we have more people displaced by climate extremes, and these people then come in contact with other groups that are already stressed themselves. In 2020, we had 30 million people displaced within their own borders by climate extremes. And in 2050, we expect that this number will increase to 216 million, which is about 7 times as many.
India's population is growing unsustainably and is estimated to reach 1.5 billion by 2030. How does the country plan to feed its growing numbers?
We have to stabilize the population. If we stabilize at 140 crores, that will be an achievement. We should increase the total productivity of agriculture. For that, instead of using chemical fertilizers, we need to use compost. We need to use natural fertilizers. The third thing we can do to increase the yields is to bring in new technologies, and these are green technologies. One of them is hydroponics. Hydroponics will increase the yields further by another 5 to 10%.
India was ranked 102 out of 116 countries in the Global Hunger Index released in 2019. It was one among the 31 nations where hunger has been classified as serious. Let's look at the National Family Health Survey released by the Union Health Ministry. 35.5% of children under 5 years are stunted as compared to 38.8% reported in NFHS 4. Although there is a marginal improvement in 2 key indicators of undernutrition among children under 5 years, stunting and wasting a lot more needs to be done. The report also flagged a concerning trend. Anemia is increasing across age groups, particularly among children and women. On the other hand, obesity too is a growing challenge. The number of overweight children increased from 2.1% in the National Family Health Survey to 3.4% in the more recent one. This is attributed to better incomes, unhealthy food choices, and a lack of physical activity. The challenges faced today are to feed more people per acre of farmland, while doing it in less harmful ways to humans and the environment. Adoption of sustainable and smart ways of producing food is the need of the hour.
Clearly, we need urgent change to sustainably produce food in a way that gives all people access to healthy diets and improved incomes. Sustainable agri-food system can deliver food and nutrition security for all without compromising the economic, social, and environmental basis for generations to come.
The Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations has signed an agreement with the Andhra Pradesh government to train the farmers in good farm management practices and sustainable agricultural methods.
Agroecological principles are very important because If we maintain the diversity of crops on a piece of land, the diversity of microbes and beneficial insects also increases. Hence, no need of putting fertilizers and manures and other pesticides and chemicals and all from outside. So we can recycle the nutrients that is from the field to animals or livestock, and from the livestock we can give directly to this field. So we are here to explain about agroecological principles, their diversity, their recycling procedure, and the economic principles like year-round income.
Rural, small-scale farmers help produce at least a third of the global food supply, and in certain places in Africa and Asia, it can be as much as 80% of the food supply, while the workers themselves sometimes go hungry.
If we ignore the challenges and the needs of our rural people in the world's poorest countries, our attempt to create more equitable and sustainable food systems are doomed to fail. Let's be frank. If you really want to fix food systems, you got to listen to the people who work in them. The rural small-scale farmers, they produce about 1/3 of our global foods, but too often they receive a pittance for their effort and are left vulnerable to shocks.
The importance of small-scale farmers cannot be overstated, and they need to be protected. The world is looking for faster-growing, higher-yielding produce, and this is why hydroponics is so exciting. Meet Delhi-based Alternative Green Energy Solutions, or AGES. The company specializes in hydroponic farming, which is a promising new trend in which plants are grown in a controlled environment.
There is a stressed environment as far as the availability of water is concerned. The water levels are going down. There had to be something innovative in terms of providing a solution. So that is where our founder and our chairman, Mr. Pradeep Burman, he could visualize what is going to be the need of the future. That is where AGES was established, and the objective was to provide a sustainable solution, farming solution, to provide a better livestock management through the hydroponics technology. Talking about the conventional model, a production of 1 kg of tomato, you need 700 liters of water, but the same production in a hydroponics technology can be taken up in just 70 liters of water. At the same time, if we look at the land usage, for growing 125 kgs of fodder, we would possibly need 2000 square feet of area. But in a hydroponics, the same task can be done in a 400 to 500 square feet area. When we choose a conventional farming, a crop on an average would take 20 to 25 days to be harvested. But through a hydroponics technology, the same crop can be harvested in just 8 days cycle. So imagine the kind of saving that we are able to do as far as the land utilization is concerned, the reduction of the water consumption, and also on the manpower efficiency as well.
At this polo club, a hydroponic facility has been installed to produce food of the highest possible quality for the club's many horses.
Technical process involves 3 steps. First step is soaking of seed in water. In second step, we keep the seed for pre-germination in moistened bags. And in the last step, we evenly place seed on the trays without overlapping of the seeds. And the tray's dimension is 3 feet by 1 feet. And after that, we keep the seeds in our chambers for 8 days, and then it's ready to feed animals on the 9th day.
A lot of positive sides that has been observed over the years after feeding of this fodder in terms of the stamina of the horses when they are put into the races or the polo races or the polo games for that matter. In terms of the shine of the color coat, in terms of the digestibility, and also in terms of the reproductive efficiency. So there has been a lot of improvement that has been registered from a scientific angle.
Let's look at all the advantages of hydroponic farming. It saves space, it saves water, the produce grows more quickly, and it is more resistant to pests, thereby reducing the need to use dangerous pesticides. To move towards a more sustainable future, smart farming practices must be adopted. In Rameswaram, a municipality in the Ramanathapuram district of the Indian state of Tamil Nadu, these women have found a novel way of earning a living by farming seaweed grown on rafts.
Seaweed farming is, I think, very much, I think, eco-friendly and not much labor-intensive. It absorbs a lot of carbon dioxide available in the seawater and produces, after photosynthesis, the result is producing a lot of oxygen.
Besides its popularity in Asian cuisine, seaweed is also used in medicine, cosmetics, biofertilizer, and biofuel, and is sent for sale in markets nationwide, as well as in the US and Australia. The benefits of seaweed harvesting are varied. Macroalgae absorbs more CO2 than trees and might help reduce the impact of greenhouse gas emissions, reverse ocean acidification, and improve the marine environment. And it is also bearing fruit for the women who are engaged in it. They say their lifestyles have improved significantly, as they now earn 20,000 rupees, which is approximately $260 per month.
Earlier, I used to think I wouldn't be able to educate my children, but after doing this seaweed business, I've been able to send my children to college.
300 to 400 people from our village are engaged in seaweed cultivation. Even if we have other businesses, we try to prioritize this work.
For a country like India, the cultivation of seaweed is advantageous since it doesn't use up valuable land, fresh water, or fertilizer. In 2019, the global seaweed production market was worth around $12 billion. India is aiming to scale up production too, from the current 30,000 tons to more than 1 million tons by 2025. In fact, the government has announced $85 million in subsidies for these farming initiatives. To feed an ever-growing population in an uncertain world, we might need to consider insects as a source of food. The 2018-19 cyclone season brought heavy rains to the Arabian Peninsula, giving rise to unprecedented breeding of desert locusts in 2020. Massive swarms of these locusts spread across countries, wreaking havoc on crops all the way from Africa to India. As the locusts spread from country to country, they devastated countless farms and caused widespread food insecurity along the way. A swarm of 40 million locusts can eat as much food as 35,000 people.
This is the third attack by locusts where they've destroyed the crops of many farmers. There has been a heavy loss. We are trying to keep the locusts away by using the traditional methods of banging on utensils and tins.
But every cloud has a silver lining, and for a select few, the locusts gave rise to a new opportunity. In Pakistan, a pilot project had local residents collect locusts for use as chicken feed. The surprisingly nutritious insect was collected in the country's Okara district, where farmers had not used pesticides that would make the locusts unsuitable for consumption. After teaching the local residents how to catch the locusts, they were paid 12 cents per kilogram of locusts and worked late into the night to collect bags of insects. Organizers of the pilot project first struggled to recruit farmers to collect the locusts, but after word spread in the village, hundreds joined in on the hunt, gathering a whopping 20 tons of insects until the pilot project ran out of money. The protein-rich locust is not only eaten by chickens. In Kuwait, the large insect is considered a delicacy and can be served dried, baked, or perhaps with a side of onions.
Now only a few people consume locusts. Previously the whole family would eat locusts. I remember the first time I ate one, I was around 3 or 4 years old.
It tastes good. There are those who eat with sauce. Some prefer it with onions. Others grill it.
Locusts have a medicinal value since they feed on useful herbs such as cress and fenugreek, as well as other nutritional items such as vegetables.
Whenever humans have needed to produce more food, they have simply cut down forests to make more farms. This is no longer viable. Countries must adopt ways of achieving high yields while also dramatically reducing the environmental impacts of conventional farming. Stabilizing the world's population and a rethinking of governance and food systems is crucial for meeting both current and future challenges.